Shut up and sit down.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Midnight Showing. I'm Dan Connors and I'm back with Chelsea.
Hey, what's up everyone?
And this episode we just got back from Detective Pikachu. I was pretty excited for this one. Like, not pumped, but I was excited when they started teasing it. It looked really good, like visually, and that's actually the first thing I wanted to talk about is like all of the visuals and actual like CGI in this was like incredible.
Pikachu was so cute.
Oh yeah, I knew you were gonna talk about
Oh my god. He was so cute. Like all of the Pokemon were just absolutely adorable.
Yeah, they like absolutely nailed that because they made it very realistic looking while also being like, yeah, that's a Pokemon.
Yeah, it really looked like the Pokemon cards I remember as a kid.
Yeah, but very like lifelike.
Yeah, like even the way they moved.
Yeah.
Oh my god, like, oh, Bulbasaur was so cute.
Yeah,
oh my god.
I knew you'd love that.
And then there just was more and more. It was so cute.
Yeah, all of the visuals and all the CGI, like the Pokemon themselves, but also just the landscapes and everything, like it looked really good. Especially when you know that like Pikachu is one of the main characters, you know that he has to be in like on screen for a very long time. So I'm glad they didn't just like skip out on, you know, editing him, because a lot of times studios will do that if they have to like edit some CGI that's a character that's in it for like a long time. You can't spend as much time and money on the character design because he's in more scenes.
Yeah.
But it didn't seem like they really skipped out on it at all. Like he looked great in pretty much every scene.
Yeah, like everything was like really furry and like cute looking, like everything you would want Pikachu to be. Like even his like little like
The cheeks.
Yeah, the cheeks on it, like even that was like furry and like had texture.
Yeah. Well, and my favorite part was you saw him get dirty.
Yeah.
Like during the whole the earthquake thing, like afterwards, and when he was wet, like you saw him actually get dirty, and that's like a part that was always a problem with like older CGI is that they couldn't really land the textures and colors and stuff. So, you know, the human characters or you know whatever it is, the landscape or something would be filthy and you know dirty, and you would see them, you know, because they're real people, so they would have makeup on to look dirty. But like then the CGI character would always just look perfect and pristine.
Yeah.
You know? But they did a really good job of making him like look dirty when like he was rolling around and wet when they fell in the water.
Yeah.
Like they did a really good job with the animation. There was a lot of times where it was like that looks like a real thing sitting next to him.
And on top of that, like a lot of the times I feel like with older CGI, the way they'd edit over like the live action characters in it, sometimes they would look a little bit more CGI'd. So the fact that they were able to like balance that and they still looked like a normal person in any normal film, but with CGI characters.
Yeah.
And or even like the way, oh, what was his name? Tim? What's his main character named Tim?
Character.
When Tim was carrying Pikachu like up on the rock, like just the way he was like holding and handling whatever prop it was they was using.
Yeah, because there was
like,
a couple
very realistic.
There was a couple shots where you could tell like, oh, that's a stuffed thing that he's holding, but it was only for like a couple shots, and it's only because I was looking.
Yeah.
If you weren't really paying attention, it would look like he was holding a CGI thing. Like there's only a few throughout it, like the detective guy when he scratches his Pokemon's head.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
The main one was when Tim puts the hat back on Pikachu. You know, when they're at the fountain thing, when they're sitting there, and that's just hard because it's like a lifelike thing having to react, like not just touch but actually give something and place something on the CGI. Like that gets a little tricky, and it's only because I was actually looking. Like you can see like the edges kind of like warp out a little weird. His hand kind of like went into Pikachu's head a little bit.
Yeah.
But it's just because I was looking. I wanted to see if I could spot some places. But generally and like overall, especially for people that aren't really looking, I feel like it looks like almost picture perfect lifelike.
Yeah, and I mean, even like the textures with like Bulbasaur, like they were all like running through water and stuff, and so like their skin was like wet, and you could really see that. Squirtle was like in a TV shot, like when he was helping firefighters, like
that was hilarious when they're showing like the different jobs they do. And of course, you know, the Squirtles are gonna be firemen. You know.
Yeah, it was so cute.
Did you see the other Squirtle? There's two times Squirtle was in it. The other one was at the TV news station, and after the shot.
Oh yeah, he like spits on the floor.
Yeah, and then the guy mops, so he's like providing the water for mopping.
Yeah, for like the bucket. Yeah,
that was so funny. And that's like the main thing is like they did, I thought like very well. I don't know how to word it, but like very good justice to the characters, you know, the air quotes that you could say of these Pokemon, where it's like they didn't just throw in like random Pokemon different places. They actually thought out like, you know, where would this Pokemon be working in real life? Like how would it be reacting to living with humans in Rhyme City? Like they did a really good job with it, where they didn't just like, I don't know, randomly throw, you know, Geodude in for the mopping guy. You know, like it wouldn't make any sense. So they really, the world building for the whole, you know, Rhyme City in general was incredible. And that's what, when it comes to these kind of like sci-fi, you know, future movies or whatever, if you don't world build well, then like it just feels bland.
And it's really hard to like follow the storyline.
And you're not invested.
Yeah.
Yeah, like you need to really feel, the city needs to feel really alive, and they did a really good job of that. Like when Tim's like arguing with Pikachu and like they're bouncing back and forth in the street, like you see neon signs, like stuff is moving in the background, you know, even those little scenes, the big scenes when you see like the huge scope of the city, obviously like that was really well done, but even down to the little details of like they're just in an alleyway and there's still like stuff happening.
Yeah,
like you have to get that lifelike kind of like you have to get that lifelike feel to it, where the city feels alive,
organic.
Yeah, and they really nailed that with making the whole city and like world feel alive, as well as like, you know, humans living with Pokemon type thing.
The only Pokemon I felt like I saw a lot of that I wish like maybe we could have seen some other ones was, I don't remember, what's the baby Charizard?
Oh, Charmander?
Yeah, there was a lot of Charmanders.
Yeah, there was a lot. I think that was almost an inside joke to how everybody picks Charmander as a starter Pokemon.
Maybe.
You know, like that's just a known thing, is like everybody thinks he's the coolest.
Yeah. It could be. And I mean, like, that Pokemon's like very well known for like people like me who only had like a few cards like growing up as a kid. Like I wasn't really into it. But like I knew all like the main ones that were in it.
Good.
For a lot of people who didn't like collect, I felt like there's a lot of known characters. I would have liked to seen like a few other ones, like a little bit
like
more.
Even ones that you didn't know, like you just wanted to see.
I just like I wanted to see a little bit more. Like I felt like there was a lot of the little
Charmander.
Charmander, sorry. But, like, I felt like there wasn't a lot of water ones. Like, the only one we saw was the fish ones.
Well, you saw a couple. Because you saw Squirtle, you saw Magikarp, which is the one you're talking about. And then, technically, you saw Gyarados for a second. Because Magikarp evolved into Gyarados.
Yeah.
So, that was cool. I liked seeing Gyarados. Because I always liked that.
Yeah, that one was always really cool.
But then it was only for, like, a second, you know?
Yeah.
Because then they washed him out.
Oh, what was the, like, fire horse one? I don't remember. It's like on the plains.
Oh, Rapidash.
Yeah. It would have been cool to see some of those other ones.
Yeah, that one's true. I didn't even think of that one. Yeah, there wasn't really many fire types.
Yeah, it was only like Charizard and like the evolving ones, really, that you saw.
Charizard is the evolved one.
Well, okay. I meant like...
Yeah, you saw Charmander, Charizard, and then that was really kind of it.
I don't know. I guess I just wish we could have seen like a few like in between.
Well, they did a lot of other elementals. Like you saw a lot of just like neutrals and stuff, and but it seems like they did well on not overpopulating it. Like they had each of kind of a couple. You know, like you had the Bulbasaurs and the Squirtles and the Charmanders. Oh, the other one that we saw a lot of was the Apoms, the monkey ones.
Oh, yeah. I don't really remember them, but...
Yeah, I mean, they're not very, like, that popular, but, like...
Yeah.
There was a lot of them just kind of roaming around.
There was a lot of small, like, little creatures, too.
That's what I was talking about. Like, it was being alive. like they filled it with stuff. They didn't really focus on a lot of them. You know, Jigglypuff was in there for like half a second. You know, and that's a very well known one. So they were kind of like, you know, that's what I was talking about the starter Pokemon. Like I think they kind of like tried to overpopulate it with those just to be like, you know, this is really familiar because if people don't know all of them, which like I don't know half of them, you know, it's like, and I used to play it all the time. Everybody knows the 3 starters, you know, so I think that's kind of why they put those in, and not filled it with all these random ones, but they did in the background. That's what I mean, like
it was very tasteful.
And that's why it was weird that they highlighted a couple other like Ditto, which I guess Ditto is a really good use as a villain, you know, cutting to the end. That it can morph. Like, that was a really good use of Ditto that I liked, but, like, that one's not super well known. And same as Psyduck. Like, to me, at least, that's always been a really lame one. I never liked Psyduck, but it was interesting how they picked those to kind of, like, you know, highlight as well. But they did really well with what they had. And obviously, you can't animate 100 different types of Pokemon. There's like so many. It's like, So, but with what they had to work with, they did a very good job at it.
But also like what you were talking about, like with things like not being overpopulated, also like it didn't feel like I can't remember what was the city called?
Oh, Rhyme City.
Yeah, Rhyme City. It didn't feel like it was overpopulated with Pokemon, and it didn't feel like it was overpopulated with people.
Yeah.
Like, not every single person had a Pokemon, like, sidekick.
Well, technically, you were supposed to think they did, because everybody thought Tim was weird for not.
Well, yeah, I mean, like, the majority. But it wasn't like every single person you saw walking was, like, right there next to another Pokemon.
Yeah.
Like, they would kind of trail behind them or be, like...
Mingle.
Yeah. Like, it wasn't... It didn't feel like it was a crazy, like, pet-human, like, dynamic. It really felt Pokemon world, where it's supposed to, like, choose you and you choose it. All cutesy stuff.
Oh, yeah, the Cubone at the beginning.
Yeah.
Yeah, what'd you think of that one?
I thought it was an interesting way to start it. I kind of wish we got to learn a little bit more about Tim wanting to be a trainer, but I guess it kind of just sets it up for a sequel if they were to do one. But remind me. That's one thing I want to get into is about sequel. But it was so cool seeing like the Pokemon ball. Like that's the only time in the whole movie you see it.
Well, and it's a very good intro to be like, it's not a Charmander where it's like everybody's like, I know that one. I mean, a lot of people know Cubone, but it's like, it's a very good way of just being like, hey, this is a Pokemon, you know, and this is what happens. But it's not like. It doesn't feel like a lame grab to catch your attention, you know, by having a well-known one. And it wasn't just like, that's a Pikachu, and, you know, you just find a Pikachu walking around. So I liked the choice of Cubone.
And I feel like they gave Cubone really good humor, too.
Yeah.
Like it was
and when they brought him back in the end, that was really funny.
That was so funny.
With Ditto, and he goes right back to it and he starts banging on the sound effect of the little bone bang.
Oh my
was,
gosh,
like, really well done, yeah. And they did a good job of not making him actually like psychotic and like swinging it. It was just like a little knock, you know.
It felt like a 3-year-old.
Yeah.
Like hee hee hee.
Yeah, they did a good job with that. I like that. But well, I liked the act of that. But in terms of the story, I thought it was a really lame opening. Like a really lame opening, because it was at the very beginning. You see like Mewtwo escape, and then the crash, and then it just. I thought it was gonna cut to Tim, like years after, like him knowing his dad died, kind of thing. And then we would like start to learn that his dad was in the car, but instead they cut to him like real time, and then they had to explain that his dad was in the car. So I thought that was a little weird storytelling.
It felt like the car in that whole scene was way too fast. Like I felt like
Mewtwo is like so fast too, and like that car's not outrunning Mewtwo.
Like it felt like I blinked and it was over, and it was way too hard to like grasp what was going on. Yeah. And like you said, the intro was just like really slow, and it just felt like you could tell that was like the first scene that he had shot. Like I wasn't really into the character yet, and it seemed kind of corny.
And I'm not
one to really point out bad acting, but
okay,
it
that's
seemed
what I was
like
gonna
kind of bad acting.
I don't really, no offense to him, of course, if you're listening to this, Justice Smith, but like, I'm not really a fan of him. He has very, very dry acting to me. He was in Jurassic World too.
Never saw it.
No, I know. I'm just we have an episode on it. If you guys want to hear. Bayless and I did it. You weren't on that one.
No.
But he was in that too, and he's just so, I don't know. He's very dry, and like, especially at the very beginning, you know, those opening things where we're supposed to learn about him as a character. It was rough acting.
Once he's in the city, he's great. I loved him after he was in the city.
Because he was able to work with the other Pokemon and with Ryan Reynolds as Pikachu, but like alone, and when he was talking to his friend, it was rough.
So dry.
There was one scene where it was really bad was it when he was meeting the cop for the first time or something? There was one part where it was just like, man, he's not showing any emotion here. You know, I don't remember if that's the scene. There was a scene where I noticed it, like noticeably, it was just, that's not how you're supposed to act in that situation.
It was when they were like running around in the forest, like right before like meeting the first Pokemon we get to see, the Cubone. And then it was when they were just walking down the street and his friends talking about him moving. That scene was
that's what it was.
Awful.
Yeah, okay, that's what it was.
It was awful.
It was that. It was when he's talking about insurance, and then he gets a phone call, and then the friend's like, "What? Is it an insurance thing?" And he's like, "No, it's like the police. There's an emergency." That's what I mean. It was just like I get it's like shock, but it was very bad shock. It wasn't like he wasn't visibly confused, and he wasn't like really showing anything. It was just kind of like it felt so much like he was just reciting lines.
Yeah.
You know that's the scene I was thinking of.
But once he gets to the city, totally sold. But like you could skip like those couple scenes, I feel like, and you would still know what was going on in the movie.
Yeah, I don't know. He's never really caught my eye as like an actor. He just feels. And he's young. I mean, he has all the time in the world to get better. But like as of right now, even in the trailer, when I saw he was in this, I was like, oh, like I don't know. That makes it seem a little. I thought, oh, it might be weird for him to work with like CGI. I had doubts about it. Where, you know, in Jurassic World he had a tiny part, and he had other people to work off of. And when I first saw he was in this, I kind of had doubts that he'd be able to work well with CGI characters and stuff. He did way better than I thought with the chemistry with Pikachu.
Yeah, like there was a lot of spots where I was like, okay, this is like really amazing, like chemistry.
Yeah. Because
you know that, like, it's a CGI.
Yeah. I wonder if what they did was with Guardians of the Galaxy, what they do with Rocket. It's like a grown man, but but like in a green screen suit, and the actor like has something physical to like pet and touch, like, but it's the guy's head.
Yeah.
You know? So I wonder if they did the same thing with that, where it's like, so it wasn't just him alone. I wonder if they did that, where it's like, yeah, but Rocket's more humanoid though. Pikachu's absolutely not. I don't know.
Pikachu was so cute. Oh my god.
Yeah, they did a good job with that. They did a really good job with blending. Like when he had to be serious, he looked like, you know, more humanoid of like his facial structure.
Yeah.
But like when he had to be cute, it looked like that's a Pokemon.
Oh my gosh, when he would show his like little cute face, like his little
and the ears flop back and forth.
Yeah,
like,
the ears would
that
flop,
would happen all the time. Where it's
and like his cheeks, like the little red spots would like move and twitch.
They did a really good job with eyebrows. You could see his like facials move.
And his tail, God, he was so cute.
Yeah. Oh, the sound effect. The sound effect when he hits Tim in the face with his tail. That was really funny because it sounded like a muffled like fur hitting something, you know?
Yeah.
Because in the trailer it was like a slap, and I was like, that's definitely not what Pikachu's tail would sound like if it hit somebody. But I'm glad they chose that route of doing the like a muffled like fur kind of hit. It was really good, you know? Because the trailer took me out of it. Where I was like, come on, that sounds like a person slapping somebody, you know? But yeah, Pikachu was really really good. Like Ryan Reynolds, of course, like nailed it. I didn't like the fact that it was Ryan Reynolds, but he did well. I didn't hate it.
I thought it was a great voice for the characters.
It's just not Pikachu to me. Like, that's not who I would pick. I don't know who I would pick. I'd have to, like, look into it. But my first thought, if I see Pikachu, my first thought is not, that's Ryan Reynolds. Obviously, like, skipping to the end, the whole thing is that it's Ryan Reynolds because Ryan Reynolds is the dad. So,
Did you like that plot twist?
Well, when you get to the end, like, it makes sense why Pikachu is voiced by Ryan Reynolds. But, like, during it, it's just like, I don't know. I eventually fell into it, and it's like, okay, I'm totally fine with this. But in the trailer and, like, at the very beginning, I was just like, I don't know. It's just, that's not the voice of Pikachu to me. But,
I liked it, though, because it wasn't too deep. Like, it didn't seem, like, human, and it wasn't super high-pitched where it, like, felt, like, annoying. Like, he has a very comfortable voice to listen to.
Well, and the main reason, of course, is, like, I mean, I don't know if he had any, like, producer play in it, if he produced it or something. But I think a main point of it is, like, he has good wit and charm, just naturally as an actor, as a person. So he can bring that kind of, like, humor to it. And he also sells well. Like, he has huge pull right now with, like, Deadpool and everything. And everybody knows Ryan Reynolds for his wit and humor right now. So it's like, bring him in as Pikachu, really get people to love Pikachu's charisma kind of thing, and really sell you on it. And he's really good at, in the real world, marketing. Like, he's really good at knowing when to, like, knowing how to sell the movie. Like, he's really good at doing that. But in the movie, he's really good at playing into adult humor, if that makes sense. Like, it's not just Pikachu reciting lines. Like, he's really good at writing and delivering adult jokes in, like, this, there's plenty of kids in our showing, like, but there's plenty of adult humor in it. So he's good at coming up with those and delivering them. So I can see why they chose it. He has huge pull as an actor right now. Everybody knows him for Deadpool and how funny he is in that, and he just, like, delivers the lines well. So I can see why they chose him. I'm not saying I hated it because of that. It's just, he's not my immediate choice, but after seeing it, it's like, I was totally fine with it, after, like, halfway through or something, and it makes total sense at the end, when Ryan Reynolds is the dad.
I'm still standing by, like, I think it was a perfect voice. Wasn't too deep, wasn't too high-pitched. And like you were saying, I think it was, like, the perfect movie to, like, take your family to, because... it wasn't like a kid's movie where, you get super bored and, like, burnt out, after 20 minutes. But it also, like you said, had enough, like, adult humor and, like, nostalgia to bring to it that it really kept all ages engaged in it.
I still think when the movie was first announced, there was petitions to get Danny DeVito casted as Detective Pikachu. And, like, that's still the funniest thing to me. We just saw him in Dumbo. But, like, imagine that voice coming out of Pikachu.
No.
Like, that's hilarious.
I can't imagine anyone else, but...
Oh, come on. Really?
Yeah, really. I think he was, like, the perfect Pikachu.
No.
Yes.
There's a million other people that would be really good. To me, like, I prefer more of, like... I don't know. Ryan Reynolds has, like, a really kind of serious voice a lot of times. But it also goes high-pitched, like you're saying. I think I would have gone for more of a higher-pitched, like, person with more, like...
But listening to that for an hour...
No, not, like, high-pitched, but I mean just, like, a little higher... I'm trying to think of a person, but I can't think of one right now. Of just a guy with a naturally higher voice.
But his Pika Pika was absolutely to die for.
He only did it once.
Yeah, but it was so cute. I'm sold.
You're talking about when he was scared with Charizard.
Yeah. He's like, Pika Pika.
Yeah, but he only did it once.
Yeah, but it was so cute.
But when he did it, like, and that wasn't Ryan, but, like, when Pikachu did the, that was adorable, because you actually got to, especially at the end when it was, like, real, because you only got it for a second when he was in the market, and he's like, can you hear him? And then he does it.
Yeah, and he's like, Pika Pika, and he's like, doll face, like, she can't understand
That was the first time we got it, but then towards the end, when it's like, you heard Pikachu actually talking, like in the Mewtwo vision thing.
Yeah.
You could hear him actually start talking, and then at the very end, and it was just so cute, the way Pikachu talks.
It was so cute.
Well, and speaking of talking, Psyduck. What did you think of Psyduck?
I thought it was very like interesting like Pokemon character for her sidekick, but I kind of liked it.
About, yeah.
I kind of liked it because I feel like any other Pokemon would be like too sassy, and she's really supposed to be like the sassy one, and I feel like the duck keeps her kind of more grounded.
It was, to me, it didn't make a lot of sense. Like, if you think about it, she's supposed to be like an investigative reporter. So you first picture like stressful situations, you know, and so to me, it didn't make really much sense why you would have a Pokemon that literally explodes if he gets stressed, you know. Like, why you would pick that as a reporter in, like, you know, they literally went investigating in this place and he was getting stressed out.
Yeah, but I thought it was like great humor, like relief.
But yeah, it worked. It worked, but it's like, why? If this was real, like, and you had to think about that, why would you pick? If you had to go in a stressful situation, why would you pick that? Like, my first thought would be like,
I think it's to keep her out of like crazy situations. I feel like without the duck, she's would go like on a rampage.
Yeah, but that should be like okay. Like the first thought I had for what would have worked is the Machamps, the beefy ones with the arms, the one that was the crossing guard. Like, I don't know, to me that makes more sense, where it's like, you know, almost like a bodyguard type thing.
No, but see, I think it's too like masculine.
I know.
Kind
obviously, it's supposed to be, you need two cute characters working together, Psyduck and Pikachu. So it's like, it makes sense.
And that's what I'm saying is like opposites attract, and like that's what compliments people.
Yeah. Well, overall, he was cute, and he like handled it well. Like, you know, hearing him say Psyduck all the time, it's of course going to be cute.
It was really funny, like, watching him get more and more stressed, and then, like, you feel stressed for the duck being stressed, and, like, all you want to do is get it out of that stressful situation. I don't know. I thought it was a perfect fit.
And they did a good job with the characters having to... they did a good job with having the characters have to, like, calm him down. You know? Like, Pikachu, as they're running, is like, calm down, and, like, you know, they're all trying to, like, not have his head explode.
Yeah.
I thought that was interesting too, where it's like, it makes sense that Pikachu would notice and be like, oh, you know, he understands Pokemon and stuff. Where it's like, oh wait, this is the perfect time, like, do your headache explosion thing. That was cool. What did you think of the Torterras, the giant tortoises that like did the whole earthquake thing?
I was really confused at first, and then I started picking up on it after we saw, like, the smaller scene terrain thing going on in the actual building. And I felt like that scene...
Oh, where she's like, they're not that much bigger.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I knew something was gonna happen, and I felt like when they see them in the actual, like, science building... Yeah,
and when she says, like... Or I think it was him that said, they're not much bigger than normal or something.
No, it was her that said it.
Whatever.
So I knew something was going to happen.
Like during the earthquake?
Yeah.
Oh, you're saying when they said that line, you're like, okay, something's gonna happen.
Yeah, something's gonna happen.
Oh, okay.
Something's gonna happen soon. And then when the earthquake happened, I felt like it took him a little too long to figure out like what was going on. Like that scene seemed very drug out, and I feel like it was the biggest action scene in the whole movie. It
was so like, what is happening? Where are the angles coming from? It was like Inception. Where it's just like, there's just weird angles coming from everywhere.
It started making me feel dizzy and sick.
Yeah.
When the trees are like half sideways, but they're like running straight.
Yeah, it didn't make a lot of sense at first.
Like some serious vertigo.
And then the thing I had problems with is that, and then nothing happened.
Yeah, they just see the eye, and then they're just like...
And it was a really cool visual, and they all rise up, and it's like, that's like actually so cool. You see them all rise up, and then Pikachu gets hit with a rock, and then they just go back down. Like, I thought something, I don't know what would happen.
They didn't even make a noise.
I mean, like, I didn't know what would happen, but I thought something would happen. Like, they would move somewhere, or they would at least say, like, shoot, we woke them up, and they're gonna walk around or something. But they just laid right back down where they woke up.
Yeah, I mean, then they didn't talk about it for, like, the rest of the movie.
I guess what's probably supposed to be is that Psyduck's explosion woke them up, and then they just went right back down. That's probably what they were kind of going for. But to me, it didn't make sense to make that big of a scene about it and then just have them fall right back down.
Yeah.
You know.
And they didn't even seem to freaked out about the giant eye. They're like, oh my god, there's an eye. Yeah, there's an eye. Like, what the heck is happening?
Well, then it rose up. And
like,
then
yeah. But, like, you didn't really get to see their face, and there was only that one pan. Like, they didn't pan through, the canal of it, really.
It's
you
probably
just
because they
spent
so much on the, they probably spent so much on the whole folding scene right before, but they're running and stuff.
Oh my god, don't even get me started.
That one was a weird one. Especially because the whole time you're thinking, oh, this is Psyduck's, like, thing. Well, and then Pikachu even says, like, it's the hallucination. So then it's like, is this a hallucination? Like, and then he's like, no, it's not. You know, because that's a very good excuse, is that, you know, you were around this explosion. It makes sense that it's this hallucination.
Yeah.
And then it's just like, wait, what's even going on? You know, and then they explained it, the Torterras, and then they go right back down, and then they move on, you know.
Yeah.
So that was a really weird scene. But then, yeah. And then we get right back into Mewtwo.
What did you think of the graphic design on Mewtwo?
Oh, they did a really good job with it. Of course, he looks really creepy, like when he's, like, humanoid, and he looks, like, sticky, you know?
Yeah.
Like, he looks like, kind of like really squishy, like if you poked him or something.
I feel like he kind of, like, would have a texture of, like, a hard slug.
Ew.
Well, you said sticky, and I was like, what kind of, like, creatures are, like, kind of sticky?
Yeah,
and then I was like, a snail, but, like, snails aren't, like, really, like, tough. Like, they're pretty, like, gunky, kind of.
They did, we were talking earlier about doing the Pokemon justice. They did Mewtwo justice. Like, Mewtwo is scary, you know?
Hell yeah.
I really liked the design.
Even the way the tail, like, flicked and stuff.
Yeah, they did a good job.
Like,
and the eyes, the whole facial features and everything. So the main point I'm kind of getting to, I guess, for the whole thing is, like, the story was pretty lacking to me. Like, okay, I understand it has to be a detective thing, you know, that's the whole thing, and they have to figure out what's going on. But, like, when it comes down to it, there were some lacking parts in the middle, when they're trying to find clues, and then the main villain was just like,
very obvious. It was so obvious.
I hated the whole simulated visual thing in his office.
Oh yeah,
it was just too much. Where it was like you could move around in it, because it was literally just an office, and then all of a sudden it turns into a full-on augmented reality. I guess that would be visual or virtual reality. And I
felt like it really took away from Pikachu's earlier scene where he has, like, all the newspapers and everything and the strings and stuff.
Oh, that's what I was gonna say. Is, like, all of that is just a complete exposition fest. That's all that was, and I hated it. Because if you've listened to any of the other episodes, I hate exposition. I know it's a useful tool and you have to use it every once in a while, but, like, man, was this loaded in exposition. Like, all the time. And I know you have to use it a bit more. It's a detective movie. You know, you have to have things explained to the characters so that they can move on to the next clue. But it just, especially the virtual reality things, that was just so much explaining. And, like, when they're going through the science wing thing and they're replaying it in that wing,
I had that made no sense.
No, but I mean, like, that too, but, well, it did make sense.
No, it made sense, but it was a horrible way to, like, explain what happened.
That's what I mean. It's just exposition. It wasn't like they were figuring it out or something. It was just, you literally watched the scene play out.
Yeah, they clicked on a file.
Yeah, it wasn't like, the whole thing was, okay. Now
it was
that I'm thinking
obvious
about it,
on how they would
now that
get
I'm
the
thinking
clues.
about it more, I really didn't like it, even more than I thought, because the whole point is that it's a detective movie. Like, Pikachu's supposed to be a detective in this. Obviously, like, yeah, he had his memories wiped and whatever, but it's like, if you're gonna have the movie be detective work and they're trying to figure out this thing, have them find clues somehow and work out what happened, or find a person that explains it. I don't know, like Script Doctor, you know, I don't know what episode we did a bunch of Script Doctors on. Oh, I think Alita Battle Angel Bailiff and I did a bunch of Script Doctors. But I don't know, just don't literally have a scene play out for the characters and then it's just like, oh cool, we figured it out. You know,
they just stumbled upon, like, clues, like, so obvious that I feel like a 2-year-old
would
the
replay
find
scene of Mewtwo escaping it was so much exposition, and then it literally didn't mean anything.
No, it didn't.
The point is that they explained it, and then it just gave you, it was like clickbait. Like, you thought you knew what was happening, but then that's not what happened. So, like, Pikachu thinks he released Mewtwo and betrayed the dad, but
Harry.
that's not what happened, you know? So it's like, that whole scene of figuring it out didn't make any sense. All it did was have to separate Pikachu and Tim.
Yeah.
You know? But in the end, that scene didn't mean anything. Because you just didn't get the full scene, so you didn't get the real idea. And then the same thing happened with the Mewtwo scene, when, like, Pikachu's actually figuring it out, the real time he's actually detective working, when he's on the bridge, you know? And then even then, he's not really detective working, because you're seeing the visuals literally happening over. I get it's supposed to be, like, in his mind, he's picturing it kind of thing, but, like, I feel like they should have given him more dialogue to piece it together, you know? Instead of it literally just happening and being like, now as the audience, you're just like, oh, okay, that's what happened. I didn't feel like me or the characters got any benefit out of, like, learning something along the way. It felt like it was all just explained to get back to, like, Ryan Reynolds being funny as Pikachu. And that's the main problem I had with the story, is that if you gotta, like, work with the audience and, like, have us, I don't remember what episode I said this in, but, like, have us learn along with the characters and, like, grow along with the characters. It just felt like we were given all this information, and then it's just like, oh, okay, we solved the mystery kind of thing, you know? Even freaking Scooby-Doo, like, we had to learn stuff along the way. It just felt like this was just giving a bunch of information to us.
Yeah, I don't know. Is that just, like, the new direction that movies are going to?
Yeah, it is. It's a lot of exposition lately. And especially in this, that's supposed to be a whole family-friendly kind of thing, you can't really get an insane storyline in for kids. They get bored.
Yeah.
So I get it. You just got to kind of move the story along to get Pikachu being cute again. But, like, that was the main bone I had to pick with it. Heck, this is the main cue bone I had to pick with this. Is like that part got a little stressful for me, where it didn't feel like we were actually doing any detective work, you know. But I get it, you know. You need the exposition, whatever. Sorry, that was a really long rant. But
what did you think of, like, the son actually not being the bad guy at all and, like, being in the closet, like, half of the time?
Yeah, that was really weird.
It was a really weird way to, like, show.
It made a weird plot hole for why were they fighting at the TV program? Because the real son was supposed to be nice, right? Is that what we're supposed to think? Or did he just get nice at the end because he realized his dad was evil?
I don't know when the real guy switched out with
that's what I mean.
the
Like,
Pokemon.
the Ditto can't talk. So the Ditto wasn't the one on the news thing. So the real son was the asshole to the dad. But then it just didn't make any sense where it's like, I don't know, that scene didn't make any sense to me, where the dad was being like, all like, oh, I'm sorry, son, you know, blah, 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 I'm still being a nice guy. And then the son's the asshole. And then all of a sudden it's like, the dad's the asshole, but the son's really nice at the end.
I know, I was really confused by it because it was so obvious when he, like, went into the, his office and he's like, I just know all this stuff, like, that your dad was doing, but, like, you know, I'm not gonna say how great of a dad he was. You just gotta find him. He's alive, and all this other stuff. And then, like, the son's, like, this jerk and everything. But then you know it's the dad who's actually being the bad guy. So I thought maybe, like, the son and the dad were in on it, like, the whole time. But then, like, the son was actually, like, in the closet, like, taped up and duct tape, and then, like...
Yeah, and then he was really nice towards the end.
Yeah, and he's like, make sure, like, you say on the news tonight that I'm going to fix everything that, like, went wrong today. And I was just sitting there, like, I'm really confused. Like, was he just hangry or something? Like... You know,
that was a weird...
Did he have, like, low blood sugar? Like, I was really confused.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe both of us just didn't catch on to it. I don't know. You guys can let us know if we're just wrong about it. But that was weird to me, too. The lining, or the character progression of that didn't really make any sense to me.
And then, what did you think of Pikachu Tim's dad being in Pikachu.
Yeah, so that's what I was saying about what I was talking. I wanted to get to about sequels. It felt like they wrote themselves into a corner, meaning that you can't. It's now canon that like Ryan Reynolds plays Tim's dad, who is now a human that's out of Pikachu. So it felt like they wrote themselves into a corner, meaning you can't. I don't see how they would make a second one because in the middle of it, I was like, I'm really enjoying this. They should. I hope this turns into a thing. You know, I think it's going to do well in the box office, and I think people are really going to enjoy it. Like it's going to make some serious fans, and I was like, they should really, turn this into a thing, especially if it does well. But then it just felt like, how are you gonna bring that back? Because now you can't have Ryan Reynolds voice Pikachu, because Ryan Reynolds wasn't Pikachu. Ryan Reynolds was Ryan Reynolds, the dad.
The only way
and now Pikachu's just a Pikachu.
The only way it would work is if he met a new Pokemon and could just talk to a different Pokemon.
Yeah,
but the whole thing is that it was a human in a Pokemon, and that's how they were able to communicate.
Yeah, that's what I mean. And you can't have Ryan Reynolds be selling the movie.
Yeah.
Unless he's a dad in it somehow. But the whole point was that it's Tim, the person, interacting with Pikachu, the Pokemon. And that's what I mean. Is I don't see how they can write themselves out of that to be have Tim come back with Pikachu as Ryan Reynolds as Pikachu and have another movie like that. That's you know what I mean? I don't know how they can make a sequel with it being Ryan Reynolds is voicing Pikachu again with Tim, and they're on another adventure doing detective work.
Yeah.
Because he's now out of Pikachu.
Yeah, and that was the other thing. As soon as we figured out that Ryan Reynolds was Pikachu and it was his dad and everything, I was like, I didn't know that he was going to come out of Pikachu's body, so I was like, he's just going to grow up and his dad's just Pikachu,
that's what I thought too.
And it got kind of cringy feelings.
And that's what I thought about sequels is I thought, okay, they're just going to... I thought Mewtwo said the body's destroyed, so the dad has to stay in Pikachu. So I thought...
that's what I thought.
Yeah, so I thought, okay, that makes sense. They're going to make a sequel where it's they can still tag team together.
Yeah.
Ryan Reynolds still is Pikachu. Tim's still working with Pikachu. But then he became a human again. That's what I mean. It's it was weird where it just feels like they wrote themselves into this corner where it's how do we make another one of these?
Yeah.
Unless you, like you said, he meets another Pokemon and it's voiced by a different person and it's not Pikachu, which is really hard to do because Pikachu is the face of Pokemon,
Yeah, and then it's how do you explain how this new Pokemon can talk? Because Tim thought it was the R drug thing, but it wasn't, and so I don't know. I feel like it's a single hit, one and done kind of deal.
Yeah, but it's just
But I
weird.
really wanted more because I wanted to see more Pokemon CGI.
That's why I was kind of disappointed with the ending, where it just felt like. I mean, of course, I enjoy movies that are one and dones. I believe we need more of those in Hollywood and stuff. Everything's always trying to turn into a series because of Marvel and Star Wars and everything. But this is one that I was, like you said, I would love to see more and see more animated and bring in more Pokemon and
Well, because I just felt like it was very nostalgic, kind of. I mean, Ash and Pikachu and all the other characters. It would have been really cool to see today's modern age Ash and all the other old characters and stuff and some of the other kind of storylines. It would have been really cool to see it.
Well, and then if you did another one, you could see much more evolved ones to show the passage of time. You could start to see Venusaurs. You did see a Blastoise, but just show a little more. You saw a Blastoise and you saw a Charizard, but maybe just show a little more evolved ones. Oh, Eevee was really cool when
oh yeah.
With Flareon, but yeah, I was kind of disappointed with the ending where it made sense in terms of a full story, but then it just felt like, how are they gonna write themselves out of that kind of thing? Which, who knows? They might not even plan on doing a sequel, and this is literally just a one-hit wonder. But I don't know. It was a little weird,
Yeah, because I'd say 2/3, maybe 3/4 way through the movie, it's like you really feel like you want a sequel or like some like second movie, even if it's not like a sequel, just like a new chapter.
Yeah.
You know? Even if it had completely different characters, you know, like we said, just seeing like more CGI Pokemon. But I just don't really see how they can do that in the universe and what Me Too did. Like, it's impossible.
Yeah, it was a little weird.
I mean, I think it was a really cute movie, and like, again, Pikachu was adorable.
Yeah, and that's the thing, is like, I didn't, like, I enjoyed it. It was fun, and it was interesting. The story was kind of lacking to me, and I got kind of bored in terms of the story. Like, literally, the main sell is just watching the Pokemon be Pokemon.
Yeah.
And that's the problem, is like, I just didn't really enjoy the story aspect, and I think that's kind of their downfall, is like, people are just going to get so into watching the Pokemon be Pokemon.
Yeah.
Which is fine. You know, that's totally fine. But the story got a little lacking. But overall, it was exactly like what I expected. I enjoyed it. I didn't hate it. I didn't love it. And it was very good. I just enjoyed it. It was really fun.
Is this the first movie on the show I've actually liked?
I think so, yeah. I mean, you liked Dumbo more than I did, but...
Yeah. But even so, like, I don't think I would watch that Dumbo again. But this Pikachu was so cute. I could watch him on screen like all day. It was adorable.
Yeah, he was adorable.
They
all made for really cute Pokemon. Like you said, Bulbasaur. Bulbasaur was amazing.
Oh, he was so cute. I just I want a Pokemon now.
And it made it so much better when they added like 15 of them. Like, it
oh
wasn't
my
just
gosh,
one.
It felt like cats.
Yeah. Or like you said, toddlers. It really did feel like toddlers walking around.
Yeah.
And they're all like, they're like waddling through the water, and then one of them like chases a bubble, like he sees a little like water thing.
It was really cute.
And I'm glad they tied back to that, where he said, they can't understand you, but like they can feel what I mean.
Yeah.
Like, I'm glad they didn't that wasn't just a throwaway line, and like Pikachu just said it and it's whatever. I'm glad they actually utilized that, you know?
Yeah. And it really made like for a connection as to why like all these other people have like Pokemon like sidekicks.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I enjoyed it. Like I said, I don't see how they're gonna make another one, if they're gonna make another one, but I guess we'll see after the box office results. I think it's gonna do well.
I think so too.
Well, because it's not even like it hits a good market, because it's nostalgic for a lot of people, and then it's also kids nowadays still know Pokemon.
Oh,
you know?
yeah.
Like, not really as much for the show and the cards, but like, they still have shows, so kids might still know the shows. But like, Pokemon Go was massive, like 2 years ago or something. So like, kids still know it, and there was plenty of kids in our showing, and they loved it. So yeah, it hits a really good market for it. But yeah, it was fun. I liked it. I'm still on it that I would have picked somebody else other than Ryan Reynolds for the voice, but
I think he was handsome, the handsome voice.
That's just because you like Ryan Reynolds.
Shut up! I enjoyed it.
I'm glad he got to actually be like in the movie, you know, as the dad.
But I didn't like that.
No, I just mean like, because I did think they would throw a cameo in somehow, like he would be in it somehow, and it totally made sense that they just kept not showing who the dad was. You know,
that was so irritating.
It really was like so obvious. You know, they kept hiding the face, even in the flashback thing.
Oh yeah, his head was always like on the ground with the hat.
Yeah.
Or hair.
But yeah. So if you guys want to let us know what you thought of Detective Pikachu, if you agree or disagree with us, and what did I say to let us know about? The what was that?
I don't remember. I'm just still thinking about the scene where Charizard is like attacking him, and he's like, "Pika, Pika."
I don't remember. I said it earlier, so whatever it was, well, like, let us know about that. But you guys can let me know by email at themidnightshowingpod@gmail.com. Hit me up on Twitter at showingmidnight. Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube is all the same at The Midnight Show. So yeah, let me know what you guys thought. Okay, thank you guys.
Bye.